Hey, what's up? If you're watching this video, then you probably want to develop a better physique. Maybe you want to get rid of the unwanted fat and develop a more defined look, or maybe you want to build a bit of muscle mass or just develop a bit more muscle tone. But whatever your reason might be and whatever your motivation might be, maybe it's because looking better, being more fit does tend to breed confidence, it does tend to catch the eye of the opposite sex, or maybe just because you're sick and tired of going out of breath after climbing a flight of stairs. But we all want to look better, we all want to be fitter, don't we? And you might be struggling with this, because most people are, and I used to struggle with this definitely. And so if you're like me, you've probably done like different diets, like the keto diet, like low carb diets, the Atkins diet, maybe the zone diet, maybe the Mediterranean diet, intermittent fasting. There are so many. Or maybe you've gone to the gym, you've done cardio, you've ran on the treadmill like a rabbit, maybe you've lifted weights, or maybe you tried some of those dietary supplements and those pills that you shouldn't be taking. But you've probably tried it all and you haven't found a sustainable approach to this, because sure, if you go on a starvation diet, you are gonna lose some weight, but then you're gonna gain all of that back, aren't you? And when it comes to building muscle, it's really a struggle, trust me, I know. So maybe you're trying to eat enough, but it's not easy at all. You're not building muscle, maybe you're just adding fat, or maybe nothing is happening and the weight is staying the same. So this fitness thing is really hard, isn't it? There are so many opinions, so many people saying all different kinds of things, all these diets, all these training methods, and so all of this information overload just confuses people, and it confused the hell out of me back in the day. I used to struggle with this so hard, and nowadays my name is Mit Kazakov. Right now I'm a fitness coach, I'm a model, but back in the day I used to struggle with this so hard. Back in the day I was just like you. So I actually remember the day like it was yesterday. The date was 11th of September 2013, and I remember that because I was going to catch a flight to Portugal, Europe on that date. And when I was packing my luggage at home, I was shirtless and I was going around home, and I catched a glimpse of myself and my body in the mirror. And I just went back to the mirror, I looked at myself, I looked at my body, and I was like, oh God, because you gotta understand, at this point I was 3 years into my fitness journey, and I just felt like my body and my life actually just weren't where they should be at that point. I had put in a lot of work, but it just wasn't working out, and I got a lump in my stomach. It was terrible. 3 years earlier, what actually happened was, you gotta understand, I was never one of the cool kids in high school or in university. I had no sense of style whatsoever. I dressed very badly and I was pretty much out of shape. I was not fat, but I was not like, I had this skinny fat look, and I was never like satisfied, most importantly, with the way I looked. I always wanted to look better physically. But yeah, it's sure to say I wasn't really one of the cool kids. I didn't have any friends at high school actually, and so what I used to do was, I used to like in recess, since I didn't have anyone to speak to, I used to buy these magazines or these books, and sometimes I bought these men's health magazines, and I just looked at the guys' physiques, the fitness models in that thing. They looked insane, and like I was like, damn, I wish I could look like that. Because you gotta understand, like I was there alone and miserable while these guys were doing photo shoots. They looked amazing, they had fangirls, they were traveling the world, taking pictures in Thailand and stuff, and I was just alone and miserable. Like nobody, I felt like nobody noticed me in a way, you know. And so I really wanted to look like that. And what happened one day was that I bought another men's health magazine, since I had a lot of time in recess and a lot of free time, and I didn't have anybody talk to. And what happened was that it turned out the magazine I bought was actually a special edition of Men's Health, and so it was a training book. It was this bodyweight training book, and what it said that if you do these exercises, it said you're gonna look like the fitness models of Men's Health. And I was like, hell yeah. And so I was so pumped. I looked at the exercises, I was like, I can do these at home. And so I was totally pumped, and I said to myself, I am doing this. I am sick and tired of not living the life that I want to live, and so I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna jump into this opportunity. I'm gonna step out of this apathy, and I'm gonna take action and change my life. And so back in 2010, that happened in 2010, and that was when my fitness journey officially started. And so what I did was I started doing these bodyweight exercises, and soon after what happened was I joined the gym. See, my bigger brother who had been going to the gym for 2 or 3 years at that point, took me under his wing, and he took me to the gym. He showed me some exercises. I was totally motivated. He saw that, and I just decided that I was gonna handle this. I was gonna get the body that I envisioned. And so I started studying training and nutrition in an attempt to get the body that I always wanted back in 2010. And what happened was, in the beginning, it sort of worked. I tried some training programs that I found online. I tried some diets that I found online. I saw some results in the beginning, and I was totally pumped because this was new. I was like, you know, when you start working towards a new goal that you've just set, you're all motivated, you're all rah-rah, and you listen to Tony Robbins pump you up, and you're just motivated, you're on fire that first week. But what actually happens after that, as you know, results are hard to get, and so you get demotivated, and that's what happened with me. My progress totally stalled, and I just didn't know what I was doing wrong. I was doing all the workouts, I was doing all the diets, but nothing seemed to work. I was not about to quit on my dream body though. I was determined to get it, and so I tried it all. I tried strength training, I tried lifting weights, I tried doing cardio, I tried HIIT or high intensity interval training. I tried different diets like keto, paleo, intermittent fasting, Atkins, all of these protocols. I even went to the nutritional store and I bought $150 worth of dietary supplements, all kinds of supplements, but in the end, none of that worked. None of that worked. And I was borderline depressed at that point. But just when I was about to give up, that's when I had my big breakthrough. See, 3 years had passed at that point when it came time to take that flight to Portugal in 2013. What happened was I was already a grown-ass man. I was in university, and they gave us an opportunity to study abroad, and I picked Portugal. Why? I don't know, but I just wanted a change. I was stuck. I felt like I was in this plateau, and I just wanted to change my environment. And so I decided to go 4,000 kilometers away from my home city in order to study in Portugal for a year. And what I did when I arrived in Portugal, the very first thing I did was I went to my university's office because I had I didn't know anyone, I didn't speak the language, I didn't speak Portuguese at that point, and so I went to my university's office and I asked them where I could work out because I just was determined to get the physique that I wanted. And they gave me the contact of the Olympic weightlifting team with the Faculty of Sports Sciences and Physical Education. And that is how I met Coach Pedro. Coach Pedro was the coach of the Olympic weightlifting team. He had 20 years of experience in Olympic weightlifting. He had started when he was 16, and he was just amazing. Like, this guy was like a training and nutrition encyclopedia. Like, when you asked him something, he was like, well, this study says this and this study says this, so based on the literature you should do this. And I was just blown away by this guy's physique and by the results that he was getting with his team. And basically I begged and begged this guy to coach me because I saw like what he could do, and he saw how bad I wanted it. He saw how much I worked out at their gym and how much effort I put in, and so he agreed to coach me. He agreed to mentor me. And what Coach Pedro did for me was actually pretty damn simple. What he did was he asked me a couple of questions. He asked me a couple of questions about my body's characteristics, and then he asked me a couple of questions about my current way of eating and my current nutrition and training. And then he was like, no wonder you're not getting results. Like, no wonder you're doing this wrong. And now might be a good time to get a pen and paper and write this stuff down, because this stuff was the stuff that actually helped me the most and that got me to develop the physique that I've always wanted and break through that damn plateau of 3 years. And what he told me was that all of the training and nutrition stuff that you see online, all of it works for some people, and all of it does not work. And the reason behind this is because people are just different. People are different. You gotta understand, we all have different genes. So what might work for one person will not work for another person, and vice versa, because people are different. So for example, think about this. Salivary amylase is the enzyme that starts the breakdown of starchy carbohydrates in your mouth. Now, the gene that produces salivary amylase is the AMY1 gene. The AMY1 gene. And this gene, different people, it turns out, have a different number of copies of this gene. I think between 6 and 12. And the people who have more copies of the AMY1 gene do a better job at breaking down carbohydrates than the people who have less copies. And this, guys, is the reason why some people do very well on a high carb diet and some people do terribly on a high carb diet, because they just have less copies of the gene. Their body is different. It functions in a different way. They cannot effectively break down carbohydrates and starchy carbohydrates, and so they need to do a lower carbohydrate diet. But if you put this other person that has a lot of copies of this gene on a high carb diet, he will do better than on a low carb diet. So this is why it's so important to look at your genetics. And just to put all of this in perspective, this is just one gene. Guess what? Human beings have between 20,000 and 25,000 genes. So if you want to develop a better physique, if you want to be more muscular, or maybe if you want to be leaner, if you want to have a more defined physique and get rid of the unwanted fat, then you have to realize that it's all about your genetics, and you have to find more about your genetics and eat according to your genetics. And when Coach Pedro shared all of this with me was when I realized that the reason why I was struggling for so long, for like 3 years, was not my fault. The reason was because of all of these fitness publications that I was reading. Like, I was reading articles online, watching videos, and they always gave you this like set plan, like the men's health training plan and the men's health diet, and it was always like, you should train like this, you should eat like this, and you're gonna get the result. And it was always this cookie cutter plan. It was always this one size fits all plan. Just do this and you're gonna get the result. And I just didn't. And it works for some people, but inherently it won't work for others, because different people have different genetics. So if you want to get the results and if you want to get the body that you want, then you need to start paying attention to your specific genetics, and you need to start learning about them, and you need to start eating according to them. And what Coach Pedro did was he deciphered my genetics for me, and he developed a nutritional protocol that was personalized to my specific genetics. And the results that I was able to achieve in those few months under Coach Pedro's guidance were just amazing. They were just beyond me. So those were pretty much the results that enabled me to later book modeling gigs and so on. So it was just amazing. I finally was able to develop the body that I always envisioned. And after coming back home from Portugal. My family and friends, they were absolutely shocked. They were floored. I was in the best shape of my life and everybody just noticed. And not only that, but I didn't realize this in the beginning when I started my fitness journey, but now that I was fit, I didn't just look good at the beach or shirtless, but also clothes started fitting me better, and I also got a more defined jawline and all of that. So that was an added bonus that I never realized existed. And not only that, my confidence shot up, my self-esteem shot up. The weirdest things started happening, like girls actually started eyeing me on the street, which was amazing. And that's also when I started being approached by modeling agencies, photographers, and actually booking my first modeling gigs. And this transformation was just amazing. Like the best thing, of course, that I got from all of that was actually that I started feeling well in my own skin, and I met my beautiful girlfriend who I love dearly. And so I got so much out of this. And a lot of my friends who were also struggling with their nutrition asked me for some help since they saw my transformation. I helped them. In the next 3 years, I studied training and nutrition like a madman. I got certified in exercise nutrition, and I started this website because like I saw what fitness gave me. Like it gave me the confidence that I never had. It gave me the self-esteem, the self-love. And so I wanted to help other people eat according to their genetics, actually start making progress, get rid of the cookie cutter, the one-size-fits-all approach, and really start eating according to their specific genetics. And that is why I also created the genetic typing assessment. So all you need to do is like click the button below or above this video or a link, and it will take you to the genetic typing assessment. And all it is it's just a tool which will ask you a series of questions about yourself, and then it will process the information that you give it, and it will develop a personalized nutritional protocol specifically for your genetics and for your goals, so that you can finally get rid of the one-size-fits-all approach. You can finally break through the plateau and start losing fat, start building muscle, start looking the way that you want to look, get the physique that you want to have, get the life that you want to have, and finally be able to feel good in your skin, have that high self-esteem, have that confidence, and have the life that you always wanted. So go take the genetic assessment and get your personalized nutritional protocol right now.